The second session will begins now. On 13th December 1946, an objective resolution was presented by Jawaharlal Nehru.
It seems there is nobody who has not yet signed. We now proceed to the next item. The first item that we have is a resolution by Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. I understand that there are some members who feel that they have not had sufficient time to consider it fully. But this important resolution, there is no doubt that the resolution is a very important one. I would not like any member sufficient time to consider it fully. Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru will now move the resolution which stands in his name.
Mr. Chairman, this Constitution Assembly has not been session for some days. It has done much formal business, but more yet to be done. We have been cutting our way and clearing the ground on which intend to erect the edifice of the Constitution. It, however, seems proper that before we proceed further, we should clearly understand where we are going and what we intend building. It is apparent on such occasions, details are unnecessary. In building, you will no doubt use each brick after major consideration. Usually, when we decide to construct a building, when one must have a plan for structure that one wishes to erect and collect materials required. For a long time, we have been various plans for a free India in our mind. But now we are beginning the actual work. I hope you will be at one with me when I say that we should present a clear picture of this plan to ourselves, to the people of India and to the world at large. The resolution that I am placing before you defines our aims, declares an outline of the plan and points the way we are going to tread. I beg to move. This Constitution Assembly declares its firm and solemn resolve to proclaim India as an independent sovereign republic and to draw up for future government's constitution, whereby shall be maintained the integrity of the territory of the republic and its sovereign rights on land, sea, air, and according to the justice and the law of civilized nations, and this ancient and attains its rightful and full place in the world and make its fulfilling contribution to the promotion of world peace and the welfare of mankind.
Mr. Chairman, I fully support the resolution moved by my brother Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. Today's session of the Constituent Assembly is an historical occasion. After centuries, such a meeting has once more been convened in our country. It recalls to our mind our glorious past when we were free and when assemblies were held, which the Pandits made to discuss important affairs of the country. It reminds us of the assemblies of age of Ashoka. We have dim impressions of those days before our eyes. We are also reminded of assemblies of other countries such as America, France and Russia. We are also reminded of our Constitution Assembly will be remembered with those others which made to frame the constitutions of other free nations.
The resolution has been moved and seconded. I have received notice of a large number of amendments. I think I have got more than 40 amendments already before me. And therefore, I do not think it necessary to give any more time for giving notice of amendments. I think all who wanted to put in amendments have already done. So, taking into consideration the number of amendments. The number of amendments is very large, but I understand that some of them will not be moved. I call upon Dr. Jacob to move his amendment.
Mr. Chairman and friends, before I move my amendment, I would like to say a few words to tender my congratulations for the excellent speech which Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru made in moving the resolution. Its lucidity, modesty and gravity were very impressive. As listened to it, my thoughts went to the back days from the under the view the dignity of the present assembly seemed to diminutive and unreal.
Mr. Chairman, on your point of order, I would like to know whether Dr. Jayakar is raising a point of order or moving his amendment. If he is raising a point of order or moving his amendment, we feel, sir, that that point of order should be disposed of first before he can proceed to move his amendment.
May I take it, sir, that this is a motion for adjournment of the consideration of the resolution as I make it to outbe.
I don't think it is a motion for adjournment either. He wants a resolution to be discussed, but wishes to place before the House his own point of view with regard to the advisability or otherwise of the resolution at this stage. And in doing so, he points out certain difficulties in the way of accepting it.
May I respectfully suggest that he does not want us to proceed with the consideration of this subject. It is clear from the wording of his amendment. I invite your attention to the wording, sir. Therefore, my submission, right or wrong, is that the powers of the Premier meetings are limited to these steps.
Order. What is your point of order, Mr. Santanam?
Mr. President, my point of order is that if the honorable member's argument is correct, then the first sentence of his amendment is outside powers of this meeting of the assembly.
Mr. Santanam says that the first sentence of your amendment, according to your own statement, is out of order.
Mr. Chairman, I was mentioning to you, sir, that at this stage fundamentals of the Constitution cannot be considered or adopted. I will read out to a few classes more. Class 5th says, this section shall proceed to select prominent constitution for the province include in each section. The representatives of the sections and the Indian states shall reassemble for the purpose of the settling the Union Constitution.
Mr. President, I rise to a point of order. Sir, Dr. Jayakar's amendment says, this assembly postpone the further consideration of this question to a later date to enable the representatives of these two bodies, Indian states and Muslim League, to participate, if they so choose, in the deliberation of this assembly. He has quoted class 2nd of paragraph 19. The class says, it is the intention that the states would be given in the final constitution assembly appropriate representation. The state has not been reached, and therefore raising an objection that the states are not represented here now cannot hold water. Again, if you further see.
That is not a point of order. That is an argument against what has been said.
May I proceed, sir?
Yes.
Mr. President, may I know, sir, if the right honorable gentleman is interpreting here the policy laid down by His Majesty's government, all those so-called concessions which the right honorable gentleman is referring to are in addition to or over and above the statement made in the white paper. We have not accepted them, and this House is not going to accept any addition or alternation in the document of 16th May.
I am happy to welcome Srimati Vijayalakshmi Pandit after the great work she have been able to achieve in the International Conference of America. I am sure the whole House will join me in that welcome, as is apparent from the cheering. We shall proceed to the discussion of the resolution and the amendment. I have got a long list of members who wish to speak. The list covers more than 50 names. I don't know how can I accommodate all the 50 speakers who have sent in their names. There may also be some others who wish to speak. I would therefore select according to my own choice. Dr. Ambedkar, proceed.
Mr. Chairman, I am indeed very grateful to you for having called me to speak on this resolution. I must, however, confess that your invitation has come to me as a surprise. I thought that as there were some 20 or 22 people ahead of me, my turn, if it did come at all, would come tomorrow. I would prefer that as today, but I have come without any preparation whatsoever. I would like to prepare myself as I had intended to make a full statement on an occasion of this sort. Besides, you have fixed a time limit for 10 seconds. Mr. Chairman, the resolution in the light of the discussion that has gone on since yesterday. Obviously, it divides itself into two parts. One part which is controversial and another part which is not controversial. The part which is non-controversial is a part which is compresses from the paragraph 5 to 7. These paragraphs set objectives of the future constitution of this country.
Mr. President, sir, lastly, I can't but express my joy. Very soon India will be free. The time has come for it. There is no power on the earth which could stop it. Some of my friends, especially Dr. Ambedkar, said that there would be a civil war in the country before India gets freedom. The depressed classes is very glad to meet it. As a matter of fact, they are ready to face it. With these few words, I support the resolution moved by the Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru.
I propose to call upon Sir Alladi Krishnaswamy Iyer to speak next. But as he is not in a position to stand up and speak, I permit him to sit and speak. I hope the House has no objection to that. No objection. Mr. Chairman, sir, after the eloquent speech of our leader, Honorable, on the main resolution and the eloquence of speakers on the amendment of the Right Honorable Dr. Jaikar, I shall try to be as brief as possible.
I propose to call upon Srimati Dakshayani Velayudan to speak next. Mr. Chairman, I think I should make some reference to the views expressed by the communist leader. In the historic resolution moved by Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, I think every provision is made for the development of every individual in this land. I know the party which called the war as a people's war has come here to advise the Constituent Assembly to postpone the consideration of this resolution for some time. If I am wrong there, I may be excused. The so-called communists, instead of emancipating the Harijans, are only exploiting them. They promise pieces of land to the Harijans, and in that way they try to take them away from the nationalist forces. I think the Communist Party is getting its inspiration from some outside quarter, and so it is not for us to accept the views of the communists. We cannot depend on such a party for our emancipation, and our emancipation lies in the national forces which are represented in this assembly. I therefore hope that in the future independent India, the Harijans will have an honorable place as every other citizen in this land.